right, welcome to Lambo's World of Sports, featuring the Big Brother feature and Sideline Sports Network. Like I said, Recruitment Wednesday, we are going to the University of Florida Gators, the class of 2024. I understand that all you Florida fans have been very disappointed, very depressed. You hadn't been good since Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, and you've been somewhat mediocre before Dan Mullen came back and became the head coach. I thought Florida had some pretty decent years under Dan Mullen, but the AD was so greedy, he wanted to go ahead and fire him. Now, in their second year head coach, Billy Napier, as of right now, Florida is 4-2, but they hadn't really played any competition. They do play South Carolina, and I think once they play competition forward to the season, they're going to start losing, and I'm not sold on Graham Mertz, their transfer of Wisconsin. So Florida really needs to step up the recruiting game. Even though they're number 4 in the country, they're not winning any games. They hadn't been to the SEC championship since 2020. They're not national championship caliber. I think they have the wrong coach. But they're number 4 for recruiting. They have 21 commits. They have 2 5-star players, 14 4-star players, and 3 5-star players. In order for Florida to convince me, the Big Brother will tell you why or why not Florida will succeed or not succeed. Florida has to rebuild the whole roster after they just fired their whole staff 2 seasons ago, and there's only but 1 or 2 guys on the team this year. So please convince me that Florida will be somewhat back, because if not, then I'm just going to shit on them like toilet paper.
So 2 quick notes from what you said. They did beat Tennessee, so that was a good win. And they have 5 3-stars, not 3 5-stars. That would be 2 very different things. Yeah, so to start with their top 5 guys, well, actually, let me start by saying this. They have a lot of youth on the depth chart. Only 1 senior is listed as a starter anywhere. So this is a very young team. And, they have a transfer quarterback. So, this definitely wasn't the year, I think, that anybody should have expected them to really break through any, barriers that were said to have been set for Florida this year. The win against Tennessee was great, but this is a young team. So, take that in mind when you're assessing the season. Like, both of us agree, we think they're a 6-6 team. But that comes with the fact that they are a young team. So let me get into these recruits real quick. The guy on your screen here is their number 1 overall recruit, 6'2", 225-pound, 5-star edge rusher in Jamonte Waller from Picayune Memorial High School. He's the 29th ranked player in the country, the 5th ranked edge, and the 1st player ranked in the state of Mississippi. This guy right here is a 6'1", 180-pound, 5-star cornerback in Xavier Filzame. Excuse me for mispronouncing that, because I know I did. He's from McKinney High School, 32nd ranked player in the country, 2nd ranked cornerback, and the 7th ranked player from Texas. And this guy's who they're hoping can be the answer. That's a sick picture right there. Is a 6'2", 225-pound, 4-star quarterback, DJ Lagway from Willis High School. 6th ranked quarterback in the country. He's the 43rd overall player in the country and the 10th ranked player in the state of Texas, which, if you've watched any of these episodes, you've heard me talk ad nauseum about how deep the state of Texas is in recruiting. So being a top 10 recruit from Texas is huge for Florida in the QB room for sure. Next up, 6'1", 212-pound, 4-star linebacker in Miles Graham. It's from FW Buckholes High School. 54th ranked player in the country, 4th ranked linebacker, and the 7th ranked player in the state of Florida. And rounding out their top 5 is a 6'4", 210-pound, 4-star linebacker in Adarius Hayes from Largo High School. 68th ranked player in the country, the 7th ranked linebacker, and the 9th ranked player from Florida. So like I like to do, let's get into their recruits from their home state. Obviously, for the University of Florida, that is Florida. So they've got 7 total recruits from Florida. Obviously, I just talked about Miles Graham and Adarius Hayes. Next up on that list is right here, 5'9", 165 pounds, so very much undersized. 4-star wide receiver, and Jeray Hawkins from IMG Academy. 175th ranked player in the country, the 29th wide receiver, and 26th ranked player in Florida. Let's see here. Next up, 5'11", 175-pound, 4-star wide receiver, Tawaski Abrams from Dunbar High School. 290th ranked player in the country, 43rd wide receiver, and the 38th ranked player in Florida. And then I'm going to go into a few guys that they are in recruiting battles for. If you watched the Florida State episode, they happen to be the same 4 guys. They are battling with Florida State and Miami for the majority of these guys. There's one on here that Miami and Florida State haven't touched. So take that as a positive or a negative. Who knows? That would be 6'5", 287-pound 4-star interior O lineman Jordan Seaton from IMG Academy. 81st ranked player in the country, the 3rd interior O lineman in the country, and the 14th ranked player in Florida. So I don't know why the other 2 schools aren't touching them, but hopefully Florida can wrap that up. 6'6", 260-pound 4-star D lineman LJ McCray, Mainland High School, 4th ranked player in Florida. I talked about him in the last video as well. 6'2", 175-pound 4-star corner, Jamari Howard. He's the 10th ranked player in Florida and the 8th ranked corner. His crystal ball is saying Florida State, but we've seen crystal balls be wrong in the past. So it is like not the most encouraging thing to see him at Florida State projection, but it could flip. But the same sentiment goes for this next one, who has a crystal ball for Florida, is 6'3", 180-pound 4-star safety Xavier Mincy from Mainland High School, 5th ranked safety and the 12th ranked player in Florida. So, I mean, he could flip. Hopefully he stays for the sake of Florida, and hopefully they can get the cornerback from Norland High School, Jamari Howard, to flip as well. So like I talked about in the last video, and like I talk about in every recruiting video, the impact you have in your state needs to be significant, and they only have 2 top 10 recruits. If they want to get back to the glory days, they need to be in a more competitive state within their state. Now, lucky for them, Miami and Florida State also don't have control. I mentioned this in the last video as well. The state of Florida, when it comes to who owns it for recruiting, like you can go to other states and see who gets the most recruits from that state. No one really owns Florida, especially when it comes to the top caliber talent. They get picked to go to top schools all the time from across the country. So if Florida wants to have a leg in the right, or a step in the right direction when it comes to getting the program back to where it once was, more than 10 years ago at this point, they're going to need to have a pretty good grasp of Florida. Now, having 2 top 10 players from Texas does give a big boost, especially one of them being a quarterback. But I mean, they just got to tighten their grip a little bit on the state. But outside of that, I mean, another reason that they're the number 4 class is because they have 11 commits out of their 21 that are top 15 in their state. So they've got guys that are high-level players in competitive states, like Florida, like Georgia, like Texas. Whereas, like the 20-something ranked player in Florida would come up to Virginia and be like number 8 or something like that. So, being in Florida, like getting those, they have those 2 commits that are 26th and 38th in Florida. Those would be top 15 guys in the majority of the other states. They just need to tighten their grasp a little bit on the state, and I think they'll be going in the right direction. But obviously, the number 4 class is definitely a step in the right direction for Florida.
Well, hopefully, if you go to Florida, recruit football player, they got a nice, great facility that's worth over $85 million. It's nice. It's great facilities. But nobody cares about great facilities if you're not winning. You have to win. That's what we care about. We don't care about the flashy stuff. It's nice. You got a nice pool. You got a nice pool table, all that stuff. But we want Florida to be successful, and it's been disappointing that it had not been successful for the last 10 years since the Urban Meyer departure and since you wrongfully fired Dan Mullen which would be another topic for later. But hopefully Florida goes back to the glory days. But it just comes down to the quarterback. And the quarterbacks, you had Kyle Trask and Anthony Richardson. I ain't gonna lie. It may hurt some Florida fans, but I didn't think Anthony Richardson was really all that. Florida going 6-6 last year. I didn't think Anthony Richardson was all that in college. I didn't really think that. I don't know if I'm just being biased, but I didn't see enough from Anthony Richardson. It's hard to see stuff from a quarterback, especially when you go 6-6 last year. So it's just tough. But I mean that's it for the little rant on Florida. Like I said, the actions and the football field stuff will be put out there for the next 3 weeks. We'll see how good they really are. If they somehow get 8 wins, I'm still not sold on them. All right. I'd rather smoke a joint before betting my money on Florida. But the last episode of the day, we're going to go to the W list. All right. Top 5 teams in the NFL after week 6. There's only one that was up there that I said if they beat a certain team, I put them in the top 5. But no, that did not happen at all. So the list will change. There was some upsets. There was some inconsistencies in certain teams. But like I said, top 5 teams in the NFL after week 6 are coming next. We'll catch you in 5 minutes. Goodbye.